ombudsman?
Wannabe ombudsman.
Oh, my God.
Young,
Drew,
unseasoned ombudsman.
Okay.
Because here, I'm going to.
I don't know either.
Wild, you know you always say during Upset Alert, you can predict the future?
Yeah, of course.
I am going to spot on predict the future.
All right.
About 5 hours from now, this is what's going to be happening. We have a sports cornucopia tonight. We have Thursday Night Football, a great game. We have Yankees-Royals, a great game.
Yeah.
And we are going to have two legends, arguably two of, if not the two greatest sportscasters ever, calling games. Al Michaels calling the football game, and Bob Costas calling the baseball game. About 5 hours from now, you know what you're going to do if you check Twitter? Hey, what are people saying about the game? A bunch of 20-something-year-olds saying how much these guys stink. Saying, oh, I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. Why doesn't he call the game this way? It's Costas and Michaels, you spoiled brats. One of them called the Miracle on Ice. The other one called Michael Jordan's final game with the Bulls. Between them, they've called 25 Olympics. They're in their 70s. They're spending a Thursday night calling a divisional round game and a Thursday night football game. And all these kids are complaining, being like, here's what I didn't like about it. Shut up. Do you know how lucky I would have been if Howard Cosell would have extended his career that long? I could have watched him. I wouldn't have cared if it's not my style. Enjoy it. You're watching legends at the end of their run. So or just delete your Twitter account. You're going to get on there with your 78 followers and be like, here's why Bob Costas doesn't know what he's Bob Costas.
Wow.
That is an old
Well
man
done.
rant if I've ever heard one.
Well done.
It's an old man.
That's definitely an old man.
Yeah, I'm right, though.
And I don't think young
You
people
are
are on
right.
Twitter.
Okay, you know what?
They're
Well,
not on
Gianna-
Twitter?
Young people?
They're not on Twitter anymore?
No.
Where'd they go?
I don't know.
I knew they weren't on Facebook, but Twitter?
Facebook.
I'm just saying.
Okay, hanging out
They're
Facebook.
not
Hanging out
on Twitter?
with you on Threads?
I'm not on Threads.
You were the
You
first
were
one
on
Threads.
Threads.
Then
You
fell- then
posted. You were
lost
like,
Threads
your
hot
mind.
for a day.
you were
Threads is hot.
come find Kevin Wildes on
I
Threads.
never wrote that. I delete that. Threads is popping one day. Threads is a good restaurant.
Threads is still
One
hot.
day. People still on Threads. Gianna told me people are on Threads. I might be on Threads. This looks like physical mail. Dear Woz, love the show. Why was Brew so competitive during yesterday's must-win segment? That's a good point. I'm glad you watched that one. Cheers, Dawn. It's a good question. We started scoring the must-win segment because it kind of felt like it needed an extra hook, and you guys got super into it. But what does it all boil down to? It's a great question. There is a trophy that we give out at the end of every must-win.
And y'all don't think I can wear Greg's jackets. Please. Look at that. Look at my arms, Miles. All right. Number 3. This is all quarterbacks. I had a lot to choose from. Almost put your boy Drake May on. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. All right, look, Jalen, I could criticize Nick Sirianni and some of his poor coaching decisions. I could be critical of the Eagles' defense, which has been playing poorly, to put it that way. And I could even excuse the fact, I could use as an excuse the fact that you have had 3 offensive coordinators in the last 3 seasons. That's tough on a quarterback. But the fact of the matter is, while all that's true, you still have not gotten it done. You've been downright sorry for a while now. All right, so you have to look in the mirror too. Here's some of the numbers you put up recently. This year you have 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Not good. In fact, you've had a turnover in your last 9 games. You are 25th in the NFL in passer rating, 85 passer rating. That's horrible. And so you have to come around and get it done, Jalen. Now, I liked your demeanor at the press conference yesterday. You looked relaxed. You looked refreshed. You said this has been one of the most efficient bye weeks of your career. You talked about your relationship with Nick Sirianni. Like, hey, we mended fences. My words, not yours, but you talked about it like we had some long heart-to-hearts and got everything out in the open, and now we're good. You even said you had confidence in him. And here comes Cleveland. It's just what the doctor ordered. You got Cleveland next. I think they got the Giants after that. 2 very winnable games. You guys could be 4-2 and rolling and put all this stuff about a supernatural funk and all that behind you. And look at the opponent, Deshaun Watson and the Browns. They're perfect. They're just what you need. And look at Deshaun. Now, forget the off-the-field stuff, which we know contributed to his downfall. But a few years ago, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now he's terrible. You don't want to be that way. So learn from his mistakes on the field and go ahead and turn it around. Jalen, I believe in you. All right, at number 2, Brock Purdy. I'm objecting.
Wow.
Are you?
I'm putting him on the bud list. I mean, there's some motivation too, but it's also just, hey, you got to play a little better. Now, Brock, let me break it down to you, Brock. They're licking their chops. They are watering, frothing even at the mouth. They are thirstily awaiting your downfall. They is right there. All right? That's who they is. All right, I mean, they do not want this magic carpet ride, start to a career, Mr. Irrelevant to very relevant. They want it to go down in flames.
Pumpkin mode.
They wanted to go down, yes, pumpkin mode. You heard him. He is waiting, Nick Wright, for pumpkin mode to hit. But I know you're better than this, Brock. Now, you got a big game. Look, 2-4, that's what you fall to. If you lose to Seattle, you'd be 0-3 in the division. It would be tough. I still think you would get your money at the end of this season, but you got to pick it up. You had a bad game last week. You've been good for the most part, but not as good as we've seen in the past. It's time for you to pick it up. You got Seattle in Seattle, but they just lost to freaking Daniel Jones and the Giants. Sorry, Greg. Daniel Jones and the Giants last week. So go in there, cook, get your boy Brandon Ayuk going again, and then rolling for the rest of the season. Brock, you know I believe in you. All right, at number 1, Aaron Rodgers. I think this is a first. I'm not positive, but I think in the 3 years of the Bud List is the first time somebody's been number 1 2 weeks in a row.
Really?
Wow. I think so. But I had to do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he has to be number 1. Like, Aaron, there's no more excuses. I mean, most people think you got Robert Saleh fired. Whether that's true or not, perception a lot of times becomes reality. And you have no excuses. You're the one that talked about winning a Super Bowl with the Jets. You're the reason the fan base is so excited or was about possibly winning a Super Bowl. You've had the offense. You've basically been the offensive coordinator. And don't let Nat Hackett ruin your mojo, if you will. Because nobody's going to let that be an excuse. You have to go out there and still have a good approach and play well, because your legacy, look, 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, you've been great for your whole career. I don't think anybody's going to hold that against you. But what is showing is a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
And I think now people are looking at you in this situation and saying, you know what? Because he's been 21 years in the league, probably 14, 15, where you were the starter and healthy, and only 1 Super Bowl appearance. And that's always been blamed on Mike McCarthy or the Green Bay Packers organization not getting you the players they need, particularly in defensively, blamed on the Packers defense. I think now, if you don't turn this around, people are going to put more of that on you and say a lack of leadership. Didn't have the intangibles of a Brady, of a Peyton Manning, of a Patrick Mahomes, of a Terry Bradshaw, a Joe Montana. The guys that win a lot of Super Bowls have the intangibles, and people are looking at you and saying he lacks those, as great as he is physically as a football player. So, Aaron, this is on you. As someone who picked you to win the AFC East, I am pulling for you. So go ahead and get it done. Turn it around.
All right, I'm going to add someone here Aaron's going to be playing on the other sideline. Josh Allen.
Okay.
To the Bud List. Josh, a lot of people may not know this, but you got a streak that you're trying to keep alive, man. Like, did you guys know Josh Allen has never lost 3 games in a row?
I didn't.
Never done it. Josh, don't start now, especially going into this hostile environment, renewed energy from the Jets. You don't care about that. Look, because you're focusing on what you haven't been since the first 3 weeks of the NFL season. You've played poor. You went to Baltimore, had a chance to solidify the realness of who you guys were as the Bills and what you were doing. And it didn't quite work out the way you hoped. Then you had another opportunity against the Texans. And Josh, you were the worst quarterback I've seen in a long time. 9 for 30. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I don't believe this is who you are. And you want to know who else I don't believe you are? I don't believe you're a no interception quarterback. Nick, we said something about this in the preseason. When guys in training camp, guys were throwing too many picks.